Hi everyone, McFeeds here with another podcast episode. This time we're going to be ranking the drafts in the Johto Conference. With me, I have another two podcast hosts. We have Water
What's up?
and Kurido.
So
All three of us are in the Kanto side of the bracket, so we're going through the Johto rankings with a little bit less bias than if some of the Johto people are going to be ranking themselves. That being said,
I rated this with full bias. What are you talking about?
I tried to be unbiased, but there's one I'm pretty biased on.
Yeah.
Um, that being said, I full disclaimer, this is our own opinions. You know, if you get ranked low, this doesn't take into account player skills, doesn't necessarily take into account free agency pickups or matchups. Like, just because you're in the bottom half doesn't mean your season's doomed. We've seen people in the bottom half perform well, and then we've seen people like Kurido get ranked number one and not even make playoffs.
Deep burn.
All right.
Damn.
Also, for the most part, even if you're like ranked low, and like your draft is like, let's say, objectively worse, like not everyone also always brings optimal sets either, and so you could kind of just pop off from a lot of prep.
Oh, 100%. So let's get right into it. We're just gonna do these in the pick order of the draft, and our first one is FueCocoaPuffs, who we were all very much aligned on. Um, as you guys can see at the top, there's a 1-1-2. This is our individual rankings. The first column's my ranking. I put FueCocoaPuffs 1. Second column is Water's ranking. He put them 1 as well. And the last is Kurido's ranking, who put them 2. Does anyone want to start talking about this team?
So I think I just want to kind of like break down how I personally view teams. Is I'm a whore for typings, so I'll look at the bottom or row there, see what's green and what's red. Now, for Fuecoco Puffs here, he's got the flying weakness and the rock weakness, which like flying's kind of fake because like there's not really that many good flying attacks, and a rock is like the main issue is Shedinja, which that's kind of fake. Rotom Heat, whatever, and then Talonflame, but like he can get kind of protected by a lot of stuff. Then I look at the stats. So primarily like the speeds, are they like well balanced? And if like the speeds aren't very high, do they have a way to make them high? The attack, if they have, strong threats, and then like special attack, obviously, like here you look at his special attack, 79 average stats, pretty low, but he's got Flutter Mane. So like that thing's just kind of insane. And then you look at like the abilities like Fake Out and Follow Me, Trick Room, Tailwind, and then Screens is like the big one. And from here, for me, Cocoa Puffs covers pretty much all bases. My concern would be like speed tiers, for example, aren't like that great.
Yeah, there's a
Except he has Talonflame, which is like insane. And then so that has Prio. And so for me, like when drafting Talonflame, I got concerned that like, oh, you just fake out it even with Covert Cloak, it like loses the health, so it won't get the priority on the flying move. But you have Serena with her Queenly Majesty ability, so it just kind of like absolutely negates that.
yeah, there's a pretty big drop off in speed between Talonflame and Hydreigon. Like, you got a team of base 110 speed Pokemon, you can run them really fat EV spreads against this team because there's not really anything in that gap.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I just want to say getting Urshifu and Fluttermane on the same team is illegal, and I'm sure Kurido agrees with me on that one.
The watching this draft live was like I was watching a crime spree happen in real life. And I still rated it second because truthfully, there's a couple of picks on here that I didn't like more than my number one. But overall, like the highs of this team are absurd.
I mean,
It's hard to ignore.
there's 5 Pokemon on this that I think you could make a strong argument for going in round 1. Like
No.
Shedinja, Talonflame, Urshifu, Fluttermane for sure, and then Blastoise is probably a bit of a stretch on this, but if someone like late in the draft was like, I'll use my first pick on Blastoise, I get it. Like it gets
I
some of the
think
best support moves in the game.
I think unironically one of the best pickups for this team was the Scizor pick. And that's purely because even if you never bring it to any of your matches, that thing is never going to come and assassinate your Fluttermane. You never have to worry about it week after week,
Yeah, I mean it
at
also
least in the playoffs.
gives him a bulky Tailwind option along with Hydreigon, so you're not like always focused on Talonflame. Um, I think my only like real problem with this, like yes, the rock weaknesses are a bit of a problem, but like one of his main Pokemon you expect to be coming every week is Urshifu, which is a resist, so you don't really have to worry about that. And my only real problem with it is I think this draft really struggles into hard Trick Room teams.
That's fair.
Uh,
If you have to waste 2 move slots for Imprisoned Trick Room on Fluttermane, that feels horrible.
Yeah.
My
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say the only reason why Trick Room is maybe not as much of a threat is because like they have to waste their initial turn setting it up, and so like that turn where they're sending Trick Room on one Pokemon and probably hitting Protect on the other, they can't because you have Urshifu,
Yeah,
and he can just probably one shot
do
freaking
something.
whatever is
Yeah.
there.
Or force a Terra at worst. And there is a lot of disruption. Like he's got double fake out, he's got a ton of Pokemon with taunt. Tinkaton is just a Swiss Army knife of fucking people over. And against a slower Trick Room team, it can really be annoying to deal with.
Follow me, OP.
Yeah, I mean the other thing that I think is outside of just raw power over Shifu Fluttermane with good support picks, Blastoise, Talonflame, Tinkaton, Serena helps protect your Fluttermane. Um, the the only other thing I really want to talk about in this team is the fucking Shedinja. Like I think it got picked like 6th round, 7th round. It was pretty late in this draft, and well, this isn't like a all in on the Shedinja gimmick team. Just needing to, will he bring the Shedinja this week? Won't he bring the Shedinja
Yeah,
this week? Do I need to commit resources to having a good Shedinja answer? Might be enough to just, tip Fluttermane over to just having a free run of the matchup if you're, over prepping for Shedinja.
I
Yeah.
completely agree.
I
Well, sorry, you go
I
this
was
time.
gonna say one of the few things, because I agree with the mental pressure of Shedinja, as it were. The idea of like you get cheesed by Terra Electric uh, Balloon, like it can and may happen with this draft. But like one of the things that kind of uh, it's like my one other criticism, other than like, oh, if you run into Trick Room, life is terrible, is like it feels as though there's like 4 to 5 Pokemon that are like guaranteed slots week after week. So you really have to make those 1 to 2 flex slots really count.
I'm
Um,
I'm curious what you think are the must brings, because for me it's just Blastoise or Shifu Fluttermane.
for me, I think Talonflame would come most weeks. It's just a solid Pokemon, and I think there's a good argument that Hydreigon would come most weeks just for pure power alone.
Fair enough.
But like I think you could reasonably argue that those 5 should be coming week after week. I think Hydreigon's the one on the far end of like maybe this what doesn't come every week. Um, but then it's like, you have 1 to 2 flex slots and 6 Pokemon to play with, and I wonder if the overall strategy will become predictable. That's my one worry.
Yeah, and some of these are kind of like one-trick pony Pokemon. Like Urshifu does not have a lot of coverage. Scizor does not have a lot of coverage. Talonflame kind of runs the same set every week, but I feel like because you have such a I don't think there's a bad Pokemon on this team. When you're your worst Pokemon is Serena, or, arguably Shedinja, you're not really upset with, oh, maybe I actually bench my Urshifu this week because I'm going into 4 fairy types.
Yeah.
Anyone have any
Yeah, I
more
mean,
comments on this before we
he's.
move on?
I just want to say, like, even if he does end up like running the same strats every time, which I mean, personal bias, we know he's not going to because this guy's insane at battling and being like out of pocket. But yeah, the threat of Shedinja alone just like it like mixes up and plays so many mind games with your opponent that like it doesn't really like matter because he can just absolutely throw a wrench into whatever you're trying to do.
Yeah.
I feel as though there is going to be a very real like Shedinja tax, but I think what will really determine like some of the better prep from week to week is how much do you pay into that tax week after week.
Yeah, it's kind of like how much can I greed and get away with? Maybe I only
Because
have a
there's
single Shedinja answer in case he doesn't bring it, but
Yeah. The Lumberry tax into Dark Void, like just having that as a threat is just so much mental pressure.
all right, let's
yeah.
move on to our second ranked overall, which is why the slide's not going to go. There we go. Is Easton. Um, I'm pretty high on this. I put it 2. You guys had it a little bit lower. I definitely think there are some issues here, but like this is 8 incredible Pokemon and 2 Pokemon that have niches.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you summed it up perfectly. There's I mean, it's 6 really, really good Pokemon. Or sorry, 8 really, really good Pokemon. And then you have
A mascot pick and a Pangoro.
and Pangoro, which is just you sacked Gen 6, which is welcome to the format, folks.
Yeah, my 2 biggest issues with this team, and before I get into that, like look at the stats on this team, man. It's like almost 90.
Disgusting.
It's disgusting. Like this is almost a mythical Pokemon average for stats. And like he's got resistances for all his typings. Sure, your fairy weakness is a little bit rough, but you have freaking Heatran.
That's freaking Pangoro. That doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, and you have Heatran to check it if there is a
Yeah.
fairy type there.
Same thing with Ice.
He's got 2 bulky Tailwind setters with Suicune and Latias to help with speed control. He's got Prankster Thundurus, Fake Out with Rillaboom, the Swiss Army knife known as Iron Valiant. But the one like chink in this thing's armor that I see is it's very similar to the last draft, is you only really have one mode of Trick Room denial, and it's Iron Valiant running Trick Room Imprison.
Don't forget the Pangoro taunt.
True. I mean, the
Okay.
Thunderous priority taunt, like there's some other stuff, but they're not as like tried and true. Like a mental herb or some redirection can help deal with that.
I think that was ultimately what kind of swayed my opinion a bit lower on this team, is that while it's just like these are definitely just high tier Pokemon after high tier Pokemon. I mean, hell, within the first 5 we have 4 legendaries.
I mean, this
It's
is
just there's
highly.
not like a well-defined game plan.
It's also that there's like Thundurus is your primary support and Rillaboom is your secondary support. But like even the legendaries that we have, Heatran, Suicune, Latias, they aren't like hyper carries. They're not like you. If you're gonna get like a super carry out of Latias, you have to set up a bunch of Calm Minds. Same thing with Suicune. Heatran can be your hyper carry, but like it's Magma Storm and Magma Storm over multiple turns.
I mean, the way I look at this draft is it just wants to trade hits with the opponent, and
Yeah.
because you have such higher bulk on average that most teams are gonna have, it doesn't matter that you're trading 2 hits for 2 hits. You're just gonna outlive them.
I do think the Tinglu is really, really good on this team.
Like, if my Heatran takes 2 hits to kill your Dragapult, but lives 3 hits from the Dragapult, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I would just say there's like the big hitters like Iron Valiant or like Nihilego. Those are a little frailer, and like the support isn't as cut and dry as you would get from something like Blastoise with Follow Me.
Yeah, there is no redirection on this draft, which I agree can make Nihilego and Iron Valiant a little more awkward to play.
I
Valiant,
also
Valiant's really
sorry.
fast with Quark Drive, but Nihilego's a lot harder to position. Um, but I really just think the core of Heatran and Latios just being able to sit, and even Thundurus, just being able to sit there, soak hits while getting grassy terrain recovery, and just dishing out like two hit kills on
Insane
everything.
damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the draft is great. Only thing I
It's just
wish
not perfect.
yeah. I wish there was more like what I would say like targeted disruption. Because you only really have Rillaboom for like a direct like you lose a turn kind of button.
Yeah. I mean, it would never happen with Easton, but I would love if that Starmie was an Electabuzz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100% agree.
Want to move on? Anyone have anything else they want to say with this?
Nothing
I
to
think
say.
we can move on.
All right, this one.
Oh, the contentious
Yeah,
one.
you guys had this a lot higher than I did. So if you guys wanna glaze it a little bit, tell me why you thought it was so good. I think I already know what Rory's gonna say, looking at the type chart, and then I'll hit on what I don't like about it.
Okay, here's why I'll say it's good. So the speed tiers are kind of whatever. You have Zapdos for Tailwind, and however, you could run Trick Room, but it's not that great in Trick Room, this team. But you have Grimmsnarl for Insane Disruption, and you have Ogerpon Wellspring, one of the best disruption Pokemons ever. And what if you're like insane and you decide to run freaking Choice Scarf Breloom with Spore? I don't know. I'm just saying, like, even though the speed tiers aren't great, there's a lot of opportunity for you to work with it. And like Zoroark Hisui is another like Shedinja thing where it just being on the team alone is enough to make you second guess what you're gonna do. Second, obviously the type chart, so much green. It's amazing. The special attackers, like the stats are fantastic. Naganadel, Zapdos, Volcarona, not Breloom. Zora Kasui, insane special attackers, and like I would say my one gripe is on the physical end, it's kind of weak. Grimmsnarl is not really a physical attacker, even though the stats are amazing. Ogerpon as well, not really a physical attacker, even though the stats great. So like you kind of just have Breloom. So personally, I'm just running Light Screen into this team. But other than that, like that's my only like noticeable weakness about it. Everything else just like can do so much you can work with, so much disruption. And so I think the team can kind of just like have free roam on whatever it wants to do.
I think the reason why I really put this team at like 4. Also, wait, I don't think I put this team at 4. Hold on, because you just said I rated the last team at 4. Why did I rate this team?
May have typoed it. Let me double
I
check.
rated this at 5.
Okay, I typoed it.
I
My bad.
yeah, I just looked.
How dare you?
I look at this team and it's one of those teams that I'm just like I don't think it's the best of the best. I think there is some glaring weaknesses, and I think the fact that Bastiodon was the Gen 4 pick was a little sad face.
Whoa. Bastiodon sleeper with Terra, dude.
It is very sleeper.
I am not
But
a
yeah,
fan.
I would agree with you. It's kind of a throwaway pick.
Like with how powerful Gen 4 is, I think Bastiodon is lacking compared to others. If this were a lower tier season, I'd say yes, absolutely, give me some Bastiodon. On the contrary side, I love Breloom. I am a gigantic Breloom fan, so that I think this Pokemon is so good. But overall, I think what I like about this draft and why I kind of rated it on the upper half of things is that it just feels as though whatever piece you decide to make your sweeper, or your sweeper or your carry, whatever you want to call it, whether that be Ogerpon, Zoroark, Aegislash, Volcarona,
There's so many
uh,
options.
you have the options, but then you can also tailor pick. Tailor pick your methods that you're going to see that success. And I think that variety of options is what ultimately raised this, because you do have the Slowking for a Trick Room mode. You do have Grimmsnarl for screen support and taunt and what's it called? Thunder Wave. And Ogerpon's a hell of a carry. That thing can hit hard as hell, and if you really want it to, it can be the defender for your Volcarona. Volcarona can even play support with Rage Powder. So there's a lot of options on this team, and it's the reason why I rated it so highly.
Okay. Just want to talk about a couple things that were brought up. If this was Ogerpon Hearthflame, I would agree with you that it is a strong physical presence on this team that can carry games. But Wellspring, 120 attack isn't what it used to be. It cannot Terra for Terra Blast coverage, and it can only click Grass, Water, and Ground moves, which does not let it hit very much at all.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's exactly a physical sweeper or a sweeper at all.
So
but you have other things that can.
the
like
way I
Aegislash.
see this draft is like 5 or 6 incredible support or like secondary carry Pokemon with no real like game-ending threat that you have to worry about. Like short of like Volcarona behind screens getting a Quiver Dance up, I think this team lacks a little bit of firepower, kind of like we were saying Easton's draft does, lacks that immediate oomph, while not having a similar level of bulk to Easton's draft to be able to pull that off.
I think my disagreement here is you're underestimating the damage that Aegislash and Naganadel can output. And
Fair.
it does kind of have the support with Grimmsnarl and Ogerpon. I
No,
think those are
I
insane
100%,
support
I
Pokemon.
100% agree. This draft has support. Like Zapdos, Volcarona, Grimmsnarl, Ogerpon, Zoroark are all incredible like offensive support Pokemon. I just would have liked to see something that can hit harder on this draft as well. I
That's
also
fair.
I
I wouldn't
think
rate it 8 though, personally.
it was less that this draft is bad and more that the other drafts I put above it were good.
Okay.
Like I think I have a clear cut like top 5 that if I was doing a tier list would be like in the S tier on this. Whereas I would put this draft probably middle of A.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Like I would say this is a good solid draft. I'm not like this draft sucks. There was just things that were better than it, and I ended up not liking it as much as some of the others. I think speed control, while you have one of the like a great Tailwind setter in Zapdos, it gets bodied by Prankster Tailwind teams.
Mm-hmm.
I think I know you guys are really high on it, but I think the Slowking, Breloom, and Bastiodon picks really don't do anything, so you only have to prep for 7 Pokemon.
That's also fair.
I'm just a big fan of Breloom. I've used it in VGC multiple times.
I
just picked it up, so I'm high on it
so
too.
frail, and you don't have Pranks or Tailwind to really abuse the Spore, which means you're gonna lose so much momentum with Protect Breloom or like Breloom in the back, Zapdos getting Tailwind up, and then you can just stall out the Tailwind and then kill it.
See what you're not remembering is you can run Slowking, Trick Room, Room Service, Breloom. Now what are you
Yes,
doing?
and then my Naganadel, Volcarona, Ogerpon, Wellspring are all kind of useless. That's why I don't like the
Yeah.
Slowking. Like, Slowking's a great Pokemon in general, just not on this team.
Yeah.
Shall we?
That's
Just one more quick thing. I do think Sorarkasui is a nasty Pokemon. I think CocoaPuffs proved that last season. Gamagate proved that in season 5. And just the amount of mental warfare that thing can put on in a best of 3 could give this a slight edge against some teams that I think would outperform this generally. You know,
In a team with so much redirection and so much support, it's such a mental threat.
Yeah, 100% agreed. All right, let's go on to the next one. So I had this really high.
Ah, yes.
Water had this, kind of middle of top half, and Kurido had this towards the bottom.
10 is crazy.
Yeah, 10 is crazy on this.
I am such a hater for this draft.
Let's do like the same format. Rory and I will go first. We'll glaze it a little bit, and then you can rebuttal. The thing that should be a weakness on this team is that there is not a single special attacker. But
yeah,
you have Inner Focus Entei, you have Clear Body Dragapult, and you have Defiant Ogerpon. The only Pokemon that actually eats and Intimidate on this team is Jianpao, which you can just run Clear Amulet.
And also Sword of Ruin. So the physical defenses are just cut by your opponents.
The speed tiers are crazy. You have 2 greater than 110 Pokemon that can function extremely well outside of Tailwind. You have a nice staggered drop off of speed tiers, down from 100 to about 75-ish on your attackers, where it's kind of hard to just be like, oh, I'm going to run my 100 speed Pokemon with max bulk and not get punished for it. You have a good suite of attackers that are backed up by support Pokemon. Like, Entei, Dragapult, Jianpao are your main offense, but even support pieces like Hariyama, Landorus, Silvally, Ogerpon can all put in work on this draft. And then you have, my favorite water type in Wartortle. It does what Blastoise does.
Would you argue that Wartortle is I had this discussion earlier about Sneasel, that Wartortle is arguably better because it can run Eviolite?
It is bulkier, assuming Blastoise isn't also running a defensive item. If you give Blastoise a Citrus Berry, or you give Blastoise a niche item that you could need in a matchup, say you need a Lum Berry or a Mental Herb or something, then Wartortle kind of gets shafted because it has to run Eviolite, but it is technically on paper bulkier. I really like the Pokemon.
Look at the type charting. Look at the type charting.
Caveat with that, I will say having 2 of your 3 main offensive Pokemon be weak to Fairy is a little rough, and another 2 of them be weak to Rock.
Okay, but the thing is, it doesn't matter because Ogerpon isn't, and you click whatever Ogerpon learns Follow Me.
Yep.
Or Wartortle clicks Follow Me.
Klefki screens, Bronzong screens, Landorus Intimidate, double Fake Out, double Follow Me. There's a ton of disruption on this team, ton of options. And if you have a bad type matchup against something, let's say your opponent has Spectrier, a bad example because there's a Jianpao on this team, but you're really worried about Spectrier, you can run Silvally as whatever type you need to counter your opponent's matchup. The one thing, and this is, big caveat, the one thing that I really hate about this team is that damn Landorus Therian pick. I think it does very little on a team that doesn't care about Intimidate. You're just trying to out-offense people. You're not trying to live hits. And it gets next to no coverage, and it wants to click Earthquake. The only thing it can click Earthquake next to on this team is Bronzong.
No.
I guess if you run the Silvally Flying or Balloon, but if you're running Balloon Jianpao to get stronger Earthquakes...
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I would agree. My concern is not even related to this draft, is that this player is obsessed with clicking Protect when he doesn't need to, and I think it will like screw him over.
Oh, if I
Personally, if I see him never take Protect, he just wins.
if I took into account like playstyle or player skill, I would change some of these. This is just purely off a draft for me.
Yeah.
I actually thought about putting this over Easton's.
This
But
draft is pretty insane.
because there are Pokemon like Stakataka out there that have, 150 HP and 210 defense that this draft is going to struggle to get through regardless of Chien-Pao or not. There's a couple drafts out there that I think this one's going to struggle with, but I think every other matchup is going to be insane for it.
It is a little feels bad that his Tailwind setter is Silvally as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that you need it with double Fake Out and Chien-Pao Bolt.
Yeah.
All right, Kurido.
Why is it bad?
Tell us why this draft is horrible.
Okay. I think one of the main reasons that I really don't like this draft was hit on right at the start, which is the idea that this is entirely physical. There's not even like a pretend special sweeper.
Whoa.
Like even
Dragapult can click Draco Meteor. It just wouldn't like to.
Thumbs up. Dragapult can pretend to be a special attacker all day, but we know why it's on this. We know why it's on this draft. I would argue that there is a bunch of picks on this draft that I just don't like empirically. A lot of it being things like Hariyama. Hariyama I think is fine. Like, don't get me wrong. I think it's a completely fine Pokemon. I think it is acceptable on this draft. I wish it was something different. I hate the Bronzong. Klefki, welcome to Gen 6 again. I can't fault you.
I agree with you on the Bronzong, but only because you have Klefki.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a one or another thing. They both set
Yeah.
screens, they're both anti-Trick Room.
And while I think Silvally is fantastic in terms of a Pokemon that can be whatever you want, it's Arceus. I think its moveset does lack from time to time, and I think as a Tailwind setter, something to help you in, especially if you're struggling for something like speed tiers, against something like a heavy rain team where you're just like getting outsped left and right, or even just like a Prankster Tailwind or Gale Wings Tailwind team, you could find yourself falling behind very quickly. And Chien-Pao may end up being kind of a double-edged sword because these Pokemon that are supposed to be bulky, like Entei, like Silvally, even like arguably Lando T, are all affected by that Sword of Ruin, and someone could turn around and basically turn your advantage into a major weakness.
I would caveat your the niches by the fact that Klefki can kind of insta-set screens, and I'm not positive on this, but does Klefki get any weather setting?
It also gets Sandstorm.
So there you get rid of your rain.
It might get Sunny Day too, but I know it gets Sandstorm because Vaunted ran it on a Sand team once.
The thing is this team feels like it wants to get off of the ground as quickly as possible with Chien-Pao and...
This is 100% I throw down the gauntlet and you have to deal with me. This is not a reactive team at all.
And it feels like with that in mind, it's hard to play the Klefki, I'm going to sit here and set some screens and set up and get relaxed. No, you want to be throwing down. You want to be throwing every punch possible. And it feels like Klefki is almost a secondary thought where it would just come in, jingle its keys a bit because its carries are gone, and die.
I would.
That's a fair concern.
That is a very fair argument. I will say with your, Tailwind can be problematic for this team. There is so much disruption. Like, Klefki doesn't get priority taunt. I thought it did. All right, that's a little worse. It's really just Fake Out then. But between Fake Out and Follow Me, like, you could realistically be trading a whole Pokemon to get your Tailwind up.
but genuinely, it's again the same thing of you want to be leading with as high offense as possible, to like shut down someone's Tailwind before they can do anything. And it feels like if we were playing like a trios format where you could have like two offensive
Yeah,
Pokemon
you
out
have
plus
Dragapult, Qianpao, and Klefki.
then like we'd be great. But because we're in a duos format, it feels like you don't have the time to sit here, twiddling your thumbs when your opponent could be click Tailwind, click heavy slam into your Qianpao. There's your focus dash gone.
I basically see this team as a prep check. Like, can you prep to deal with hyper offense? If not, accept your free loss.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's why I'm a hater for this team.
No, I think your arguments are somewhat valid. I think it's a bit of a playstyle thing and a bit of like reality. Like I 100% get what you're saying with Klefki. Like if you have to lead Klefki Hariyama to deal with a Tailwind setter, you've lost all your momentum on this team. All right, let's go to our next one. Koopa's Troopas.
Another hater.
I will caveat. I'm not sure if you rated this before or after the free agency pickups, and that might be why it's so low. Because I initially thought this team was bad, but then I saw the trade go through.
I didn't see I didn't see anyone's free agency pickups.
Okay, this and the whatever Chris's name changed to, the Syracuse Zeraoras, swapped Pokemon, and that's the only one in this bracket that really matters. Some people did free agency things. I put them on here. They weren't big stuff, but this team traded away a Tapu Koko and an Iron Bundle for Tapu Lele and Chi-Yu, which is a massive upgrade in my mind.
Yeah.
I think this is a very Koopa team. It's got a great lane with Sun, and it's got enough Pokemon to play outside of Sun that it's fine. Like, you've got a expanding force mode that you can run Chi-Yu with Iron Crown. Like, Chi-Yu in the back after your Tapu Lele dies. You've got a Sun mode that, Chi-Yu fully takes advantage of. You've got terrain abuse with Hawlucha. You've got, disruption with Weavile, Prankster. I think the speed control for going fast on this team is incredible. My similar trend to some of the other teams we've seen here, it really will get punished by bulky teams and Trick Room teams because its Trick Room denial is Stantler and it has no redirection to keep Chi-Yu alive.
I fully agree. And then also, the freaking ground weakness is disgusting.
I mean, yeah, when Chi-Yu,
Pretend ground does not exist.
Typhlosion, Hisui, and Iron Crown all sharing a weakness, all being, big parts of your
They're
offense.
big threats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Actually,
other...
McFeeds. Sorry.
Go ahead, Kurido.
I was gonna say I think you have a GIF specifically for this kind of team.
No, I do. There is triple stack.
Yeah, there is also
weakness.
a rock weakness. Yep.
Yep. The other problem I have with this team is it's all special attackers.
Mm-hmm.
Like Weavile is your only physical threat, and yeah, it is harder to deal with special attackers, but Snarl still exists, Assault Vest still exists, Goodra, bulky special walls still exist. And while I think this draft is like pretty fundamentally flawed, like it's not well rounded, I think it having like 2.5 game plans that you have to deal with. Like you get Sun Up, if this team gets Sun Up with a Scarf Chi-Yu, good luck. You're not living anything. If this team gets, Psychic Terrain up and you don't have a Terra Dark Pokemon, good luck. You're not living anything. And then you have, the Hawlucha mode, you have a Tailwind, kinda mode with Typhlosion Hisui, where I just think the raw firepower on this team is so insane that I rated it above some like pretty well-rounded drafts.
I think it's kind of similar to the draft we were just looking at, Sootopolis Sableyes, where it's lacking one type of threat. So this one had special attack, the other one had physical attack. The difference is for me is I feel like the speed tiers, like you have Whimsicott, but like I don't know, special attack is like, oh, some of these threats are like a little overlapping to me. Like having your threats be like all weak to the same types just absolutely kills it for me. And they're also so weak, and no follow me just absolutely like it's just bad to
I
me.
mean,
That's why I rated it so low.
I think it's similar with, show me your Chi-Yu in the sun, switch in, or perish, is what this team says.
Yeah.
But, the little added dimension of Iron Crown and Psychic Terrain with booster energy speed, I don't hate it. I think this team will run over teams, and I think it is less one-dimensional than the Sootopolis Sableyes one because it has a couple different gimmicks. It just has worse support.
Yeah.
You have anything you want to add, Kurido, before we go to the next one?
No, I think you guys summed it up pretty well.
Shelmet Boys. Kurido, big fan of this one. It does have your favorite
Oh,
Gen 7
God.
Pokemon.
I'm trying to remember why I rated this so highly.
It's not a good sign.
No,
I will say the Rhyperior used to be an Ambipom. I think the Rhyperior is an upgrade.
I would agree.
I feel like this draft's alright. It has some weaknesses. It's got a really solid Trick Room mode with like great threats: Sylveon, Glastrier, Farigiraf, Rhyperior. And then, having to fight an Amoonguss in Trick Room is always hell. It's got double redirection, fake out, anti-fake out. It's solid, but oh boy, the type chart. And
That's what killed it for me, and I'm a type fiend.
So, funny enough, I rated this team a lot higher when the Ambipom was around.
That's funny.
And the reason for that is it provided more disruption, more disruptive options for the team. I think it already has a ton of it between Incin, Farigiraf, Clefairy, like
Amoonguss.
Amoonguss. Yeah, there is so much disruption on this team already, and I think that the overall kind of plug and play game plan of this team is very good. I liked it when there was double fake out. And I can't remember if Ambipom gets follow me. I think it does.
It does not. It's just
It
fake
does
out.
not.
Why did I think that? Probably because of the freaking hand tails. I also just am a big fan of like the Dozo, Glastrier, Farigiraf, Amoonguss, like this kind of bulky core that you have that's like you can kind of just slot whatever you want into this team, or you can just make it just like, okay, we're going into the boxing ring and we're just gonna throw punches. I think just like the amount of variable options that this team has is what ultimately swayed me over.
So I have a slightly hot take with this team. I think this might be the best, like, well-rounded, put-together Trick Room team across both conferences.
It's just the type charting is so bad. That's the only the Trick Room is so scary. These threats are insane. But you can
only,
just misalign.
Yeah. I wish the Typhlosion was something to help cover you a little bit better. I wish the Mence was something to help cover you a little bit better, but if the Mence wasn't there, you don't have a fake fast mode. Obviously Solo Doso's rough, but rumor has it that's potentially getting dropped for something, and it's still good.
Solo Dozo is so good. I will fight for that fish until the day I die.
The only other real problem I see is like Sylveon and Glastrier both kind of want Terra for coverage. Like Glastrier wants it more defensively, Sylveon wants it more offensively, and so it's a little bit of like push and pull on, oh, I need to Terra my Sylveon, but then that to be able to deal with this threat, but then that forces my Glastrier to die because it can't live this hit.
I'm gonna hit you with a counterpoint. I think there is a lot of mental pressure being exerted by this team because you either have to decide, are you going to full in on stopping this Farigiraf like Trick Room mode? And if you do, how are you going to stop, like,
Just
for example,
eating Glastrier Icicle Crashes to the face while you're doing it.
or even worse, you just send out Clefairy Typhlosion, you start spamming Follow Me, and you start ripping Terrafire eruptions in someone's face.
Fair enough. I mean, looking
And
at this with
it's
my draft,
devastating.
the answer is Iron Boulder clicking Mighty Cleave and nothing having a rock resist.
Rhyperior.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think in hindsight, I would have maybe rated this a little higher, but you see those red dots, and I will never agree with you.
Yeah, I think it's solid. I think it's probably the best draft Dory's had in the PDL so far. So, hopefully he can ride it to a result that he wants. I know he's trying to take the season more seriously than some of the past ones, but I also heard the new Destiny expansion comes out this week, so who knows?
I think when motivated, he can pop off for sure.
Oh, agreed. Next we have objectively across the board the worst draft in the conference.
I saw a 7 next to fighting and 0 resistances.
And you
That's
have
all I'm
you
gonna
have a
say.
Tyranitar Excadrill on your and King Gambit on your team. Like
4 ground types for what?
well, you saw Koopa's draft is weak to ground. This is his Apex Predator, right?
Uh-huh.
I
And then you get freaking hit him with a freaking any fighting move.
yeah,
See ya.
I think there is unironically something workable here. Like have the core of Tyranitar Excadrill, like Como, King Gambit are good Pokemon. Corviknight can help like get you over the line. It's just there's so many things that do the same thing on this draft.
And no real special attacker either.
This in my opinion, is a draft that heavily relies on strength of pilot rather than strength of draft.
I mean,
And those are always scary.
I don't even know that I'd go that far. There's no tricks that this draft can do. There's no fake out. There's no follow me. There's no prankster. I think like
Oh
the
no.
majority of these
I didn't even
Pokemon
notice the no fast out.
don't even get tech moves.
Yeah,
This
it's just like you have nothing but damaging. Like this is something. No offense, but this is a team that I would put together when I hadn't played any competitive Pokemon, and I never used a single status move, and just clicked the highest damaging number move.
Kurido, you could tell me that this was a run and bun gym leaders team, and I would believe you.
I wouldn't, because there's no legendary and no mythical.
Fair enough. All right, fine. A red and plat gym leader. Just enough type and idea overlap to be like, yeah, that feels like a gym leader team. While still being air quotes fair. Yeah, I think we're just gonna move on from this. Hopefully they can figure something out in free agency. Plus Heliolisk is a based AF Pokemon. But yeah, it's rough for the Sanserino Sandile fans. On to another weather draft that's also really rough. This one at least has resistances for some of its problems. Yippee. Triple fairy weakness with Magmar as your only resist is rough. You're really all in on rain. Yeah, I'm just not a big fan.
I think they also fell for the Pheromosa has 137 attack and special attack, 151 speed, and it was like, this will solve all of my problems. Speaking from experience, it does not. Bug fighting, especially with Pheromosa's move pool, is not that good. Pheromosa is a good Pokemon, but it's much more niche than the stats would really say, and you won't be able to rely on it consistently. and you don't have a real physical attacker on this team.
Personally, I would rather play the sand draft than this one.
I just think there's more of a game plan with this one, which is
Agreed.
why I rated it higher.
Same. Like, you have Gothitelle Screamtail as like a different mode. There's some support pieces that can maybe let your Kingdra put in, or a Chaladon put in work. I think it's just too weak across the board. Like, the only Pokemon on this draft that I'm like, oh yeah, that's a good pick, is Archaludon. And I'm pretty sure that was their first pick.
Also, the type charting is not good, clearly.
Do you have anything you want to add, Kurido? I mean, I think it's kind of
Yeah.
just the same as the sand draft.
Yeah, I mean, you'll see it, and you'll see it kind of as my rankings go on. But like, there was 3 teams that I just kind of slapped together as like, these are the weather teams, and I can see a cohesive game plan here. I have that's about all I can say. I am a fan of the chestnut, but it's not enough to raise my rankings above 11.
All right.
All right. I'm a big fan of this draft. You guys hate it.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
I do.
I don't like it, but I don't hate it.
I personally think that, I mean, first off, I'm incredibly biased. I helped with this draft. Walking Wake and Ogerpon Hearthflame are 2 of my favorite Pokemon. I've been saying for probably a year at this point that if Walking Wake is ever legal, I'm drafting Sun, and then I bitched out on it this season. And so I'm living vicariously through this draft, I guess. I do think it has problems, but I think it has enough strengths and enough like different modes, utility, and firepower that it can make up for those problems. I will say, unfortunately, because I know who is running this draft, it's probably going to go like 1-6 or 2-5, regardless of how good I think it is.
I think there's a lot of good options, and Walking Wake is goated. Torkoal with Ogerpon and Walking Wake and Lilligant is amazing. So like the Sun options are great. The speed tiers kind of suck. Togekiss isn't really a good Tailwind setter, but it's got 2 Follow Me, so it's whatever.
Do you think Zapdos is a good Tailwind setter?
No, not really.
Okay, then never mind then.
I think it's a little overrated as a Tailwind setter.
I don't think the speed is as bad as you think, because Wake can run booster speed for a free 1.5x speed boost.
You're not running that. I'm sorry, you're not.
Or you can run Photosynthesis speed for the speed boost in the Sun, and you have Logan Hisui with after you with, you know, the equivalent of 210 base speed. It outspeeds Regieleki, assuming you have Torkoal.
I will say though, on a weather standpoint, the only thing that like really counters this team would be setting snow, because if you set sand, Stack Attacka is impossible to kill. If you set rain, Walking Wake and Gyarados and Raikou go freaking hard, and then if you set sun, Ogerpon, Walking Wake, Lilligant, Torkoal go insanely hard. So I think there's a good amount of flexibility with this team. It's just the ground resists is really bad. I mean, that's like my big gripe.
You have double immunity, you have a resist. It's not like the end of the world, and you're probably tearing Stack Attacka anyways, so the 4x isn't real, but I get what you're saying. I think the Trick Room team on this mode's decent. I don't think you're bringing it like every week, but it having the threat and forcing you to prep for it is something. And like, if Torkoal's ever allowed to get free turns in Trick Room, stuff is dying. The last thing I want to say for like a big plus on this team is I am so high on Ogerpon Hearthflame, especially in the sun. Like, I think this thing actually hits harder than Specs GU in the sun because of the way its like weird Terra mechanic works. Like you click Terra with the Hearthflame Mask, this thing gets a free Zacian Intrepid Sword boost, and then it gets an extra 1.5 on top of that for fire type attacks, and you get the sun boosts plus the mask boost. It like snowballs out of control. It is legitimately show me your water or dragon types or perish.
Yeah, I think it's threat. Like the team's good. It's just I thought there were better teams, but it's not bad.
I personally would love to play this. Like this is a very me draft, and while I think the fighting weaknesses, the ground weaknesses, the lack of like insanely reliable speed control can hamper it. I think it's good enough. Like I think this draft is pretty dang
It's
solid.
solid.
Yeah.
It's solid.
Now, Kurido, you have a 14. You've been pretty quiet.
Yep.
You ready to rant on weather? Because I know it's got your favorite
mean,
Pokemon Stack Attack on it.
Unfortunately, this is quite literally a victim of me hating Stakataka. I think the draft is overall fine, but the second that I saw that Pokemon, I think that Pokemon's worthless. I think I hate
That's crazy.
I hate that fucking Pokemon. Oh, it's freaking Pokemon. Excuse me. Otherwise, like, I mean, I think it's a fairly standard Sun draft. I think it does the Sun thing really, really well. But I don't know. It's one of those things that I just wasn't like, oh, I'm over the moon for this pick, or for this draft.
14 is you freaking hope they fall down the stairs.
You had.
I do.
You had the rain draft over this one.
Yes.
That's crazy to me.
Unfortunately, Stakataka is.
I guess it really is just a Stack Attack a diff.
It is unironically that. Like
Also,
I'm sure.
Sorry, looking at this now, how is the special attack average on this draft so bad when you have Wake, Togekiss, Raikou?
Like min-max.
I guess all your physical attackers are min-maxed.
Yeah.
That's funny. Alright, going on to our next one. The Philadelphia Phanpys. We were basically in unison on this one. Upper middle of the pack.
It's just solid. It's just good. Nothing bad necessarily. No fake out kind of sucks. But
triple redirection though.
Yeah. And then you have like I would have rated this much lower had Urshifu Water not been on this draft.
I mean,
but that thing just like makes everything like go together. Like Murkrow and Urshifu alone make this team disgusting.
Even Murkrow Blood Moon. Like I think that trio will just win this games, and then it's pick whichever redirection Pokemon takes hits the best against your opponent and slap a Tapu Fini in the back.
Yeah. I think the team's great. It's just there were better.
I wish some of the later picks were a little different. Like I think the later picks in the draft, not later on this sheet. I think Lucario, Chandelure, Delphox, Brute Bonnet all probably could have been something else for upgrades during the draft. Maybe not Delphox because Gen 6, but they're just they leave a little bit to be desired compared to the other things, and I would have rather seen stronger Pokemon in those places. I don't know what, but that's my only like hesitancy with this draft.
I'm pretty high on Chandelure, so like Tailwind Chandelure, in my opinion, is also cracked, but I can see why with other beasts of a Pokemon, like why you would think that.
You just don't need Chandelure and Delphox. They're very similar.
Yeah, fair.
Do you have anything you want to add to this, Kurido?
Nope. I mean, I was going to touch on that last part, but then you touched on it. I don't like the center of this draft. Otherwise, I think it's good.
Yeah. One last like little bit of tech: Misty Surge Tapu Fini preventing burns on Urshifu, pretty nasty. because it already can't be intimidated because it always crits. So it
Yeah,
makes it even
that's
hard.
disgusting,
Makes it
actually.
even harder for it to deal with.
I wouldn't know anything about that smiley face.
Yeah, Mr. First round pick Tapu Fini.
I don't know what you're talking about, smiley face.
All right, Little Sizzler's Pizza. I think we all, in general, think this draft is pretty bad. I put the two weather teams below it, and I can't remember the other one I put below it. You guys put this almost as far down as you go. Don't want to spend a ton of time on it. We're all kind of in agreement. I'm assuming that type chart's horrible. Speed tiers are pretty bad. You don't really
My
have
problem, my biggest issue with this is like individually there are so many great Pokemon on it. It's just none of it works well together.
Yeah, there's zero cohesion.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
You could tell me someone spun a wheel to pick this draft, and I would believe it.
Oh,
Yeah. Move on, I guess.
yeah.
All right. This is formerly Christopher Yusuf's, now Syracuse Zeraora's draft. You guys had it mid. I had it kind of bottom mid. I'm probably just a little biased because I also first picked Tapu Koko, and Chris inadvertently first picked Tapu Koko by having Koopa do it and then trading it. And I think his draft unironically looked better with the Chi-Yu, and now he has an Iron Bundle instead.
Wait, he had Chi-Yu and traded it for Iron Bundle?
Yeah, and he traded Tapu Lele for Tapu Koko.
Yeah, I mean, I think the later half of this draft plus the Arcanine are like the best points of strength that we have. But like,
Yeah, I mean his 7, 8, 9 free space Arcanine are great. It's the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 I think are pretty buns.
The superior, like it's good support, I guess, but it's like it just gets like outpowered by so many other support Pokemon. Like the speed on this team is great. It gets boned by Trick Room, but Dusclops can help with that. It's just like if you get hit with like
anything,
it just crumbles.
you don't have a redirection to help soak those hits. You do have 2 fast screen setters with Tapu Koko Serp, but I don't know that Sneasler Iron Bundle is enough to carry this offensively, and I'm kind of just comparing that to my Koko draft where I have like 4 or 5 threats that are, kind of able to muscle through things on a hyper offensive side, whereas this just has Sneasler Bundle. I don't really think Treads is gonna put out enough damage to be relevant.
Yeah. Can you move on?
Sure.
yeah, let's move on here.
All right, Gardevoir Guardians, definitely top half team. All of us agree on that. Kurido's really high on it. I think we all think it's solid. Yep. I think it's more just how we thought it stacked up with some of the other top tier teams.
Yeah.
I just personal team building bias. I think that this draft, it's the only Pokemon I don't like is the Sneasel, and I even see it has a purpose on it.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's just like a lot of things where I'm like, okay, I see how this fits here. I see how this fits here. I see how this fits here. It's hard for me to find faults in a way.
If he had any form of redirection, I think I probably would have put this number 2, maybe even number 1.
It's just like so much of this draft is great. Meowstic alone provides so much support. Roaring Moon, Spectrier, Great Tusk, like as a typing trio is so disgusting.
Yeah. And like his types overall are
okay,
great.
Nice.
Like he's only slightly weak to Ghost, but you're bringing Ghost types against Roaring Moon.
Yeah. Like Empoleon, I guess I don't really know what Empoleon does, but it's there.
Kind of bulky. It's a resist. It's anti-intimidate tech because it has competitive. I rated this a little bit lower than you guys, and I think my main qualms with this draft are kind of similar to some other things I've said. I feel like there's a lot of Terra Hogs on this. Like Spectre, Roaring Moon, Great Tusk all kind of need Terra offensively. Thunderous Therian also kind of needs Terra offensively. And so it can make for some awkward game states. It's kind of similar in my draft last season, where it's like, I have to Terra Spectre here in order to check X Pokemon, but then if they have Y in the back, it sweeps the rest of my team because I can't Terra defensively. And I think having no reliable screen, I guess he has Meowstic, and no reliable follow me redirection to kind of make that burden a bit easier makes this harder to play than it would seem.
Personally, I think as long as there's an answer for Meowstic and the 3 big hitters, that's like his chink in the armor. But if he brings those 4 Pokemon, to me it's GG.
I mean, assuming you can deal with Metagross, Fairy types feast on this team.
Yeah. Kurido?
Yeah, I mean, I like sorry. Like I said before, I think that this draft really just kind of it's the opposite of the problems that I saw with the first with my number 2 draft, which is like when you go from week to week, there's almost like nothing that you feel bad about taking. There's no like, oh hey, there is only 5 I only have 5 slots and whatever it may be. You are basically looking at
I don't see this draft bringing Moltres and Empoleon aside from maybe 1 week.
I think there are weeks that you could see Moltres or Empoleon showing up, but I think even then, just having like 8 Pokemon that you can reasonably flex between is just like, okay, cool. You have a lot of options from week to week, and I think that's something I value very heavily, and it's why this draft ended up number 1 for me.
I just think Meowstic being your only like real support is the like only real feels bad for me.
Yeah, I think that's kind of why I put it as low as I did. I also hate Primarina. I don't think it's a real Pokemon after using it. And I feel like most weeks this team is gonna be pick a Fake Outer and have some combination of Spectre, Roaring Moon, Great Tusk in the back with Metagross. And I think that leads it to be a lot more one-dimensional than the fact that it does. Like, I do agree with you, Kurido. I think all 10 Pokemon on this draft are good, and on other drafts would show up week to week. I just think in reality, it's not going to play out that way.
We'll see. I feel like Thunder is really good at prep.
I would agree, but
yeah, draft alone,
I think it's just going to get
think so.
overshadowed by Fake Out plus Metagross, Spectre, Roaring Moon, Great Tusk. I don't see an argument to really bring Primarina when you can just have Spectre hitting instead.
Yeah. All right.
Another one that we did not rank particularly well, funnily enough, another weather team. I'm starting to sense a trend here.
Weather is just kind of not great in draft.
I mean, this one for me really just, I hard disagree with that, by the way. I think people just all in too much on it, and this one doesn't really have that problem. It's just, it's Pokemon quality.
Yeah.
I think the overall quality of this team is a lot weaker than some of the other teams we've seen. Unfortunately, this coach was not aware of the draft date due to some miscommunication, and so I had to throw this together literally last minute. So props to them for getting something, that has a semblance of like it has a good game plan. Like there is a plan here. I just think some of the picks on this team are at a lower power level than what you really need to function in this format.
I think there's also like a severe lack of coverage when you have 3 water types, 2 grass types, and grass is a fake type offensively.
It's good when your main offense is water and you need to kill other water types, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
And like yeah, like again, like you said, like individually, like these are great slot in Pokemons for an otherwise better draft.
Yeah, I mean, I just think like Gardevoir, Mega, Manchu, Goodra, even Kartana on this team. Like, I don't think this team can support Kartana that well. Are just fairly weak here. I'm also not in love with both Basket Legion and Palafin on the same team. I think they kind of serve the same role, like hard-hitting water
Mhm.
type, rain threat. Basket Legion's a little bit better in that, but Palafin's better outside of rain. Wish it was something else. You have any
I mean,
thought?
Basket Legion is a ghost type in this.
I mean, yeah, it's like I hate to say it, it's just rain. This is a rain team.
Yep.
Uh,
It has double fake out, double follow me though, so that's kind of nice.
yeah,
I just don't see it functioning outside of rain, and that means, you know, if you have a prankster Pokemon, you kind of just beat this team.
I
I'm
think if
kind
it
of
was Klefki instead of Gardevoir, this team would be much better because you'd at least have prankster screens.
I'm also like halfway of the opinion that like weather teams are very like plug and play, but like
Oh,
as a
I agree
result,
with that.
their answers are also fairly plug and play.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of the reason I'm so high on the awesome Super Squad team is because it is a weather team that is drafted well. You have modes outside of weather that are legitimately threatening while still having your
Mhm.
weather mode.
And he has like 3 weather options as opposed to 1.
I mean, I feel like that was more happenstance than game plan, but yeah,
Yeah.
Walking Wake does lend itself to that. Um, Next, we have the Kentucky Crobats. They were, I think, 15th pick in the draft, maybe 14th pick, so pretty close to the wheel. I rated this lower than you guys. You guys had it basically dead center of the pack. I had it bottom half. Um, I see that last column and just kind of the typings in general, and I grimace a little bit. Um, and because like you have Pokemon on this team that don't necessarily always outpace things. Like you have Raging Bolt, Annihilate, both share a Fairy weakness. Even Dracovish, like triple Fairy weakness on your 3 best Pokemon. Greninja's another Fairy weakness. Like I'm clicking Terra Fairy against this team, and you are forced to Terra or eat a big hit. Because your only way you can threaten that is a Weezing.
I would agree. I wanted to rate this draft much lower. Like the typing chart is abysmal. But like individually, these Pokemon are insane. Like Weezing Regigigas alone is annoying to pilot, but when positioned well, is so scary.
But
Speaking from experience, Tornadus with Prankster, any support move, Prankster Tailwind is like that. Plus all these other big heavy hitters are insane. But yeah, the Terra is my main concern. Otherwise, I would have rated this higher.
going back to Weezing Regigigas, I think like unlike your draft where you had it, every single other Pokemon on this team cares about its ability.
That's true.
Like if you have any of these other Pokemon next to Weezing, you are very upset. With maybe the exception of Annihilate. Like
That's true.
losing
They're
losing
probably
Prank,
never bringing Weezing Regigigas ever.
and that's why I hate it. It's just a bad pick on this team. I think the Tailwind mode with, you know, Tailwind Dracovish, pretty cute. You've got like a good bulky mode with Raging Bolt Annihilate, also kind of cute. It's just they don't really mesh particularly well together, and none of the rest of the Pokemon fit into that. Like Blaziken doesn't want Tailwind; it wants Quick Protect and rack up speed boosts. Greninja doesn't really need Tailwind; it's 122 speed. It's looking to, you know, pick off key Pokemon or use some support moves to, you know, help its allies. Rabumbi is just worse Tornadus.
Yeah, I don't really know what it does here. I
I think a couple free agency changes could maybe make something here. Like I see the start of a like pretty nasty Trick Room mode with P2 Raging Bolt Annihilate, and you would still have the Tailwind mode outside of that. So maybe, you know, working some other good mid-speed, like 80, 90 base speed threats or support pieces to help enable that could make this better, but in its current form, I'm not a big fan at all.
Drop Raging Bolt for Mousehold alone, and this team is 1,000 times better.
I disagree. If you
Follow
really
me,
just
okay.
want the beat up shenanigans, you can Water Shuriken with Greninja into your Annihilape to do the same thing.
Yeah, but follow me.
Yeah, that's fair. I do think redirection would really help this team, but I don't really know what's up. Like, imagine, and it would make these typing, actually, it would make the typings a little bit better. Imagine if the Weezing was a Magmar.
To me,
True.
the draft feels confused.
Oh, 100% agreed with that. I think this is the, like, pinnacle of new player to draft goes in too many directions.
I think it'll be a good learning opportunity, though. There's a lot that they can work with.
Yeah, I think it's 100% recoverable through free agency if they want to go down that route. Are there any particular Pokemon you want to talk about, Kurido?
No, I mean, I think y'all touched on a lot of the really, really big points, and that's why I was kind of just letting y'all talk, because I didn't really have anything to say. I think the idea of Dragovish and Greninja is very cute, but it's confused with the wheezing mode, which is confused with the Raging Bolt Annihilate Bulky mode, which is then there's Tornadus, which is a great Pokemon, but it's just kind of there.
Yeah, it's just all over the place. Alright, I believe this was our wheel pick. And while they were doing draft, I thought this draft was going to be insane. Cresselia, Ursaluna opening, you get Iron Hands on the wheel, or on the free space. Or no, it was third pick. Yeah, you get Cresselia, Ursaluna into Iron Hands. You've got double redirection with Clefable Smeargle. Got fake out pressure. Like I thought this draft was gonna be crazy. And then after those picks, it just kind of fell off a fucking cliff.
Yeah, I think that's a result of the format because there's so many great Pokemon that you have cohesion, but not planning around the remaining picks and like remaining generations was what I've personally found very difficult for this format, and is maybe where their pitfall was.
Yeah.
Like, what does Jellicent do? What does Exploud do? Dragalge is whatever. Excalibur here is whatever.
It leaves you with a draft that has a really strong core, but now you're forced to bring that core every single week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think y'all said it best. I think I would be remiss to not bring up like this. This feels like another draft where you have 5 Pokemon you bring every week, or in some cases 6, and then you have a bunch of Pokemon that are just there to be mascots.
Yeah. There's also not a special attacker at all.
Yeah.
Like, at all.
That also really sucks. I mean, there's stuff they can work with here. Smeargle is a great support Pokemon, along with Clefable and Cresselia. But
there's got to be something usable on free space they can pick up and drop back Excalibur for. I wouldn't be surprised if there was something in Gen 5 that they could drop Jellicent for. I think Gen 3, that pool's been picked pretty clean, so it might be a little harder to replace Exploud with something. And Gen 6, there's going to be nothing. But I feel like some combination of dropping Jellicent, back Excalibur, and you can save the Steam.
For sure.
But it's all in on Trick Room. It's the same tricks in the room every week, and that's gonna lead to some problems.
All right.
So wrapping up, just we have our table of our overall rankings. You know, now that we went through everything, is there any picks in the top half that you guys would move around? based on our conversation? Are we all kind of locked in with what we chose, where we chose it?
I might move Shelmet Boys around a little bit. Y'all were pretty convincing, but otherwise I'm pretty happy. I'm not sure where I would move them to though.
I think I would probably move Koopa up a bit, and Larvesta Legion down a bit. But otherwise, I'm pretty good with how it went.
Yeah, I think my top four probably stay. I'm pretty locked in on FueCocoaPuffs, Easton, Sootopolis, Koopa, and then I think the mid-tier mix can kind of be reordered. I think you could probably like bump Thunder up one, and I'm not upset about it. You could bump Larvesta Legion up one, and I'm not sad about it. Stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really think I have anything that was like really eye-opening on this. I mean, you guys weren't a fan of the ass team, but I still think it belongs in the top half, as we'll see when we go to the next page. But I think that was the only like really big disagreement that we had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, the ass team is purely because I hate stack attack.
Yeah, I think you're a little biased on that one. I think I would move ass up a little bit too.
I am proudly biased. Get rid of stack and you go up a bit much higher.
I don't know. I think Stack's like the glue holding that draft together right now. Without it, you don't have a Trick Room mode.
Yeah, I think you're underrating it. I think it's pretty insane Pokemon. I know FueCocoaPuffs wanted to draft it second, so.
Yeah, he was upset. Apparently, it sniped his whole draft.
And then he got Urshifu Dark, so
Yeah,
I think he's okay.
Yeah, he should not be upset. You guys have any closing statements you want to make before we head on out?
No, I think for the most part, everyone's got like a usable draft, minus maybe some select few. But you know, you can always work with something. You know, you can always find some niche move sets. And there's definitely like even if your draft didn't go as planned or your battles don't go as planned, there's still, you know, it's still like a learning opportunity. This is my third season and I'm still learning a ton, and I learned so much just like by playing. Like I was basically useless my first 4 weeks and then woke up on my 5th week. So no matter what, there's something to gain even if you are getting clapped.
And also, just because like we think a draft is bad doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. Like maybe you see something we don't, or maybe you have good matchups in your group. Like there have been drafts that I've rated like legitimately 15th, 16th that have made playoffs. Like season, I think 4 or 5, I put Vaunted dead last, and he made semifinals with, funnily enough, an almost all sand gimmick team.
Yeah. Maybe 4 ground types is the move.
Maybe it is. Best of luck to everyone on week 1 matches. We'll try and get some more podcast content out there. Hope you made it to the end. Hope you're still sane and you enjoyed listening. See you guys.
Best of luck.
See ya.